Come on in, you guys. We've got a brand new episode of Jimmy Rants in store for you. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, if you want to engage live in the content, you got to go follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. Once you are there, you can actually engage live in all the great content we try to provide you here on Jimmy Rants. If you also want to follow me on Facebook, I do simulcast on 2 Facebook pages as well. You can also find all the past episodes over at JimmyRants.com. We also put them up on YouTube. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants and you'll find the show over there on YouTube. Well, today, guys, I have a bonus episode of Jimmy Rants that I wish I didn't have to do, because there is a decidedly negative tone going on out there in the midst of this coronavirus COVID-19 thing. And of course, the negative tone is not new. People were being ugly and negative long before COVID-19 came around. And plus, this is an election year, 2020, so people typically ramp up the vitriol in election years as well. But some of the things I've been seeing out there, and I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but it seems that the stress of everything going on has got people going cray-cray in their head, because there's some just really wacky things happening out there. And the story I'm about to share with you is one, again, I wish I didn't have to share here today, because it's an unfortunate perception in the health community that if you are healthy and if you are doing the right things in your diet and your lifestyle choices that would make you be healthy, it's unfortunate that there's this notion that we're all superhuman and immune to getting sick. Have you noticed that sometimes there is this notion of, well, if you just eat keto, or you just eat real food, or you just breathe, I hope you're all breathing. If you're not breathing, you're not doing well. You know, get sunshine, exercise. If you just do these things, you are immune to ever getting sick. That's what people believe. And for the most part, you're doing good things to protect yourself. So let's be very clear. Those are all good things, but it doesn't make you super immune, superhuman. Now, as one of those people in the health community that just so happens to have extra weight on my body, I have felt the brunt of people being incredibly judgmental towards me, stating that I am unhealthy simply because of the weight on the body. Now, never mind some of the other things that I do well, and how my health is great, and how I'm vibrant, how I'm energetic. All of those things are a part of your health too, but simply because I have extra weight on the body, I generally get criticized pretty heavily. In fact, somebody made a really ugly comment on one of my posts the other day that said, "Shut up, you fat ass, because you're going to be the first one to die of this when you get COVID-19. Yeah, guys, that's real. That's the kind of bullshit that I have to put up with. And it is just what it is. People are always going to have those kind of comments, especially to people who don't look like a health guru or someone who should be talking about diet and blah, 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 all the stuff. But today I want to put the focus on someone who is very well known in the natural medicine, functional medicine realm. If you've heard of Jolene Brighten, let me know. Do you know who Jolene Brighten is? So she is a naturopath who does use functional medicine with her patients, and a really sweet lady. She's really good friends with my Real Talk co-host, Dr. Will Cole. I've seen him interview her on Instagram Live before, and just she's done some really fantastic work helping women primarily with their hormones and just all the stuff to show women, especially women, how to be healthy. Well, Jolene, unfortunately, got COVID-19, and she started having some pretty major complications. Her O2 saturation levels were dropping to dangerous levels, and since she's in the medical profession, she does have access to to oxygen, and so she was able to start getting on oxygen. She's doing some other protocols as well. Definitely go look her up. She's on Facebook. I know sharing her story, and what I'm about to share is from her Facebook page. Just look up Jolene Brighten on Facebook and you'll find her. But wonderful, sweet lady who happened to get COVID-19, and she's dealing with some pretty major complications from it, extremely tired, extremely sick. And so today on her Facebook page, when she had a little bit of energy, she decided to write about something that I read it and I went, oh my goodness. Like, this is where we've gotten in public decorum when it comes to talking about these people who get COVID-19, because up until now, we've heard that most of the people that are getting this, that are getting really bad sick, tend to be the older, which is true. Most of the patients who are really bad sick and end up dying from this, they are typically of the older population. And there's a few outliers that are younger. I think Jolene is in her like 30s, maybe early 40s. I don't know her age, so, and I don't ever ask a woman her age. I learned that a long time ago. Don't ask a woman her age. So she got this and has gotten really sick. And so today she was giving an update about her O2 levels while on oxygen are doing well, but she has to stay on the oxygen, and hoping that her white blood cell count comes back up again to help battle this thing so that she can start getting proper O2 saturation levels without the oxygen. But then she shifted to something that really disturbed me. Special shout out, this is from her Facebook page today, to the wellness leaders who are health shaming all of us who are getting sick from COVID-19 as obviously being unhealthy. Can I tell you how utterly repulsive that is? Like, I get it. We're all trying to figure out what's the common denominator in the people getting COVID-19, and we found a few things in there that are of consequence to pay attention to. Generally, it's people who already have some other what's called comorbidity, and so it's something else going on. They already have disease. But it's also people who have elevated blood sugar levels. They have low levels of cholesterol typically. They have higher blood pressure, all the signs of metabolic disease happening typically, but not all of them, but that's the typical. And so because people have this notion in their mind that all of these things are the reasons why people are getting COVID-19, they think all of the COVID-19 cases have to be because of metabolic disturbance and an unhealthiness in the person who gets it. Can I tell you that's not how this works? Like, it's disgusting for people to make this correlation that having COVID-19 is somehow your fault. That getting, an adverse reaction to the, well, it just proves you're unhealthy. And then you get somebody like Jolene Brighten, who is a naturopath, who knows how to make yourself healthy and is incredibly healthy. I've seen her on video as early ago as like a month ago. On video, vibrant, and she's just powerful in displaying health. And yet she got COVID-19 and now she's struggling with it. She's trying to get her oxygen levels back up, and she's trying to improve her red blood cell production and rebuilding it so it can fight this thing off. This is gross, guys. Like, is there any other word I can use to describe wellness leaders reaching out to her directly, health shaming her because she's obviously unhealthy because she got sick? So she goes on to say in the Facebook post, "My team and I really appreciate all these hateful and judgmental comments that your messages are inciting." Guys, as the victim of this, I get it all the time on my own pages. I did an interview with Tom Bilyeu on a show called Health Impact. Last year I did that. And he wanted to interview me about fasting, and so I flew out to Beverly Hills, California, went to his studio, and we recorded it, He put it up on YouTube. If you go look up Health Impact Jimmy Moore on YouTube, or if you look up Tom Bilyeu Jimmy Moore, you'll find the video. Well, watch the video because I think we provided some good information in there. But if you read the comment section, and I did like a month ago, it'd been a while since I did the interview and it had thousands of comments. So I started scrolling through and it was like, who the F is this? What a fat F. Oh my God, he's so unhealthy. What's he talking about fasting? He needs to lay off the donuts. Da 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 da. And it was all these assumptions that because the weight on the body meant that I was eating differently than what I was teaching. And now here you have Jolene Brighten. Oh, she's a naturopath. She should know better about how to keep her immune system strong. Why is she struggling with COVID-19? It's just another form of the flu. Her body should be able to easily fight this off. You see the parallel here? You see why this is icky? And yet that's what Jolene is having to deal with. And the hateful, judgmental comments. I could write a whole book all about hateful, judgmental comments based on assumptions of my health, just based on how people look at me. Somebody else even said on another, I think it was on a Facebook page today, oh, well, I can't trust anything Jimmy Moore has to say because he promotes people eating 3 sticks of butter a day on their keto diet. And I'm going, I have literally never encouraged people to eat sticks of butter. But somehow that meme of me saying that image of me is what people believe. And then when they hear what I actually say, they realize, oh, wow, you're nothing like that characterization. Yeah, no kidding. And so we have these people out there that are going to be judgy. And of course, there's people that say, well, just ignore them. Well, here's Jolene Brighten fighting for her life. And she's getting this kind of nonsensical stuff coming back. I hate it for her because that's adding extra layer of stress while she's trying to remain calm and get healthier and get this virus out of her. She's having to deal with the stress of these idiots that are saying all these ugly things about how unhealthy she is because how dare a health leader get COVID-19? Are you feeling me here? Like, well, what's going to happen when like a really, really, really famous person that's in the health space gets COVID-19 and has similar kinds of reaction that Jolene's having? Now, she's a big name, don't get me wrong, but like somebody like a Dr. Oz, for example. Now, I realize, bad example, but just think of somebody with name value that people would instantly recognize. Mark Hyman, let's say that. He's a big name. If Mark Hyman got COVID-19 and started having O2 saturation problems or other complications where he'd have to get on a ventilator or have some oxygen put in his body somehow, would we be judging him as being unhealthy? And he's obviously unhealthy. I don't think anybody would say Mark Hyman is unhealthy. And yet that's exactly what they're doing to Jolene Brighten. So she continues in her Facebook post, call me crazy, but maybe try stepping up and leading instead of preying on the fears while you claim to be against most fear-mongering. So again, this is wellness leaders who are calling out Jolene Brighten, either privately and or publicly, for getting COVID-19. It's like as if she like brought it on herself, as if she like purposely put her body in a compromised state so that if she got this, it would ravage her. Come on, people. Like, really? Like, no. Perpetuating the us versus them mentality and acting like you're some kind of savior that has all the answers and these 6 people just didn't hear your message in time. I have heard this, and I do know a few people even within the keto and carnivore space who are making this claim of, well, if you're obese, you're just asking for COVID-19 to ravage your body. If you're metabolically unhealthy, you should have cut your carbs. And so we kind of like point fingers a bit. And that's been kind of disturbing to me. Have you seen some of that stuff going on out there? It's disturbing to me how we're basically victimizing the people who have COVID-19 and saying, oh, look at them. They didn't get their health in order in time. And now they're going to be dealing with this a lot harder than all of us who chose to eat real food, chose to keep our carbs low, to control our blood sugar and insulin levels and blood pressure and da-da-da. You see how it creates this mentality of, I have all the knowledge and you, poor peasant, don't. I don't like that. I think that's gross. That's disgusting. And yet that's where we are. I mean, unless you are seeking to build a legitimate cult, then by all means, this is Jolene talking, keep doing what you're doing because you're close to achieving it. The fine line between advocacy and cult, I know what she's talking about. Like literally in the keto space, and a lot of us keto leaders, maybe I should save this for a whole nother Jimmy rants, but a lot of us who have been in keto leadership positions are repulsed by what has happened to the keto community and how there's certain people who are like issuing edicts from on high, and if you don't believe that, then you're ostracized and ousted from the community and da-da-da. And I'm going, what has happened? Like, I was away on sabbatical for 6 months. What happened while I was gone? Did somebody drink the Kool-Aid and go crazy on me? But this is one of those issues that, and she's right, we make it look like, well, we're the great purveyors of all things nutritional health, and so therefore we are robust and we'll never get COVID-19. How crazy is that? But that's what they're telling her. Jolene continues, I've had a lot of people in the wellness space reach out because they are sick or they have a family member who is sick with COVID-19, but they don't want to share anything because they don't want this kind of backlash I'm getting or to have their colleagues shame them. You know, if I got COVID-19, and a couple weeks ago I talked about feeling really tired suddenly and had to lay down, da-da-da. I never went and got tested, and I was back to normal within a day after having that tiredness. But had I gotten COVID-19 and maybe had to go on O2 saturation levels, I could see it now. People would be writing me, see, if you had gotten your fat ass off of the donuts and had you gone and started actually eating keto and not pretending like you eat keto, and if you started moving a little more and stopped being so lazy, da-da-da-da-da. Guys, I have heard every incarnation of what I do that people tell me through email, and I've literally never met any of these people in my life. Like, do you have cameras in my house somewhere that you know what I'm eating, you know what I'm doing at all times? Because unless you do, or unless you're here and there's nobody here but me, how the heck do you know what I'm doing? You don't. And how the heck do we know what Jolene is doing? You don't. But you can see very clearly people who are vibrant, people who are healthy. I come on camera every single day. Do I look like I'm sickly? Do I look like I'm about to keel over? You should see some of the comments on YouTube. I mean, it's crazy. Wow, you look like you're gonna die tomorrow. I'm like, really, people? Like, that's the decorum we have now? But she's not wrong. There are people in the health space who, if somebody in their family, if it's not them, somebody in their family gets sick, oh, well, I guess you're not very good at convincing them. They did this crap with my brother Kevin, by the way. So my brother Kevin, 4 years older than me, my only full-blooded brother, he died in 2008 of heart disease. And I started talking about Kevin and when he was going on the downhill, and he'd already had heart attacks way back in 1999, and then it ended up killing him in 2008. And so people were like, oh, see, even your own brother wouldn't listen to your bullshit and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, okay, like, what? But that's the kind of judginess you get when you're a health leader and people expect you and everyone in your family to have perfect, immaculate health. It's crazy. So Jolene says, humans get sick. Humans taking great care of their bodies will still get sick. We're designed to get sick. We're designed to get sick. Some of us just get, she wrote, some of us get our asses handed to us a little harder with certain illnesses. You could tell that was COVID-19, like really hurting her at that time. Some of us get our, Imagine being sick and also feeling shamed about being sick because people are telling you it's all your fault or you're just not healthy enough. Like, does this anger anybody else? Like, I'm reading this and I'm weeping for Jolene Brighten because she's literally one of the sweetest people in the world. But here she is, one of the leaders in the natural functional medicine realm, having to defend her healthfulness, having to defend the advice she's giving her patients, trying to help them get healthy. It's crazy. And she doesn't have a weight problem, so that, you know, they can't add that on top of, well, she's fat and she's a guru in the health. And no, she doesn't have any of that going on. I get that kind of crap. But Jolene has just been wonderful in this community. And yet now she's getting judged. So I got another article that goes along with this to kind of like solidify this whole idea of trying to shame people because they got sick, or fat shame people. And does that work when you shame them? And so I got this article. This was in October of last year. Bill Maher, apparently the comedian and talk show host, made some comments about the obesity epidemic and saying that we need more fat shaming to get these people motivated to lose weight. And of course, this can also apply to health shaming people. Well, you just, if you got sick with COVID-19, you obviously aren't taking as good care of your body as you think you are. So there's a medical director at the Center for Bariatric Surgery called Leslie Pristis. And it says, as much as Bill Maher and others in society want to suggest there's an easy solution to the obesity and health epidemics, it's a complex social, physiological, and medical issue. It's important to understand that weight and health are affected by more than just your calories and your exercise. This is not to say these things don't matter. Of course they do. So they cited a few studies here. Oh, here it is. Shame is not motivational. Fat shaming involves criticizing and harassing overweight people about their weight or eating habits. I will extend this to the Jolene Brighten example. Health shaming does the same thing. You harass people and criticize people about their health when something like COVID-19 happens. Embarrassing someone is actually counterproductive as a motivational factor in improving the weight or the health. Multiple studies show that weight discrimination specifically can cause stress and lead overweight people to eat more calories. A study in 2019 published in Pediatric Obesity found that teasing kids about their weight is linked to an increased weight gain into adulthood. The more teasing, the more weight. Another study had 93 women, showed exposure to weight stigmatizing information made those who were overweight eat more calories, feel less in control. Research has also shown the stigma associated with being overweight or unhealthy, in the case of Jolene Brighten, as they were saying, contributes to increased body dissatisfaction, which leads you to do things like binge eating. So you experience the shame and stress that comes with weight stigma, can trigger a biological process that make you gain more weight. So all of this shaming that's going on of people that are bigger, people that are unhealthier, it's only making them, gee, imagine that, bigger and unhealthier and more susceptible to getting unhealthy. Shaming does nothing good. Shaming allows someone to feel a superiority complex. And I've always hated these people. And when I was in the paleo community, it was bad. Like, I was the token low carb guy when I was in the paleo community back in 2010 through about 2015. I was really active in that community, going to all the conferences, blah, blah, blah. And you should have seen the smugness coming out of the mouths of a lot of those paleo people. Well, if you ate a nutrient-dense diet, you would be very fit effortlessly, and you should go to CrossFit classes and lift and get your wads in and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm going, okay, that's great that works for you. Let's not pretend like everybody who eats paleo is going to be an Adonis. And yet that was this notion put out there that if you didn't have a certain look, you didn't have certain health markers, you weren't invited in the club. And so that notion's been out there a little while. Jolene Brighten is only the latest example, but that notion has been very common out there. And it's a disgusting part of the health community in general. It's something I do not allow within my work. I will never shame you for how you look or how your health markers are. My goal is to help you get healthy, okay? And if people don't think that I'm healthy because I have extra weight on the body or for whatever other reasons, then okay, don't listen to me, move on to the next person. But there are people who do listen to me because part of the reason they connect with me is I look like them. I have weight on the body, and yet I seem to be healthy, and they want that healthfulness even if the weight doesn't come off. And so we're kind of there with this whole story. Shame leads to increased levels of stress, duh, which raises cortisol, stimulates appetite, and increases your risk for depression and anxiety. All of these things contribute to unhealthy eating habits, which, oh yeah, by the way, make you gain weight and get unhealthy. So we're shaming people for no good reason. And I think it's horrible, and we need to break the toxic shame, cycle of shame. It can be linked to depression, eating disorders, low self-esteem. And when you're depressed and you have an eating disorder and you have low self-esteem, guess what you do? You eat. You eat. And you get even fatter, even more unhealthy. If you feel ashamed of your weight, you should seek strong support system. And being on social media, which I'm on Instagram Live and Facebook, or Facebook, and then YouTube, you watch this on the replay. We're all over social media. And it can add to this toxic cycle of shame because people like to play the comparison game. People like to judge you on those outlets. It's one thing, again, you will never get from me. I do not judge you for anything. If you come to me for information, I can provide you a lot of information that can help you, but I will never judge you because of your weight or your health markers. I will help you fix those if you ask for my help, but I will not judge you. Too many people judging in the world. You deserve to live the life you want to live now. So don't punish yourself by holding off on any activities until you're at your goal weight or until you are healthy. But going back to Jolene, like, I feel for her right now. She's literally fighting for her life. When your O2 levels are that low and you're having to be on oxygen constantly, it's scary. Like, she's probably imagining in the back of her mind, oh crap, like, am I gonna have to do this long term? Will she recuperate? I'm thinking that she will recuperate, obviously, and that her red blood cells and white blood cell counts will come back up and be able to fight this thing. But it could be a few weeks that she has to do this. But is she unhealthy because she got COVID-19? Like, is that really where we're going in society now? Well, you got COVID. Oh my God. And you had to go on oxygen. Oh my gosh. Like, I guess you weren't as healthy as you thought you were, health guru. And again, God forbid Jimmy Moore gets COVID-19 and has to go on oxygen. Which I have an oxygen tank, by the way. Part of my biohacking stuff that I do is all kinds of things. And I have an oxygen tank. Actually, Dave Asprey hooked me up with a company that could get me one. So I have one if I did need to be on oxygen. But let's not pretend like that means if someone has to do that they're unhealthy. Like, really? Like, we've gotten to that point? So prayers go out to and positive thoughts to Jolene Brighten as she tries to recover from this. I sincerely hope she doesn't let the arses of the world who would love nothing better than to just troll her. And the sad part is when she described them as health leaders, wellness leaders. So this is like her colleagues all reaching out to her going, oh my God, Jolene, what are you doing? How'd you get COVID-19? We know it's people that get metabolically damaged who got this. Or they're older and overweight and How in the world? She's getting the scorn. And that to me is just simply incomprehensible. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. We're going to go to Instagram Live first. Then we'll come to Facebook Live. And as always, thank you, Living La Vida Low Carb Facebook page for being here as well. But welcome in, welcome in. JimmyRants.com is the website to see all the past episodes. D says, people are nuts. People are cray, 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 cray. Trust me, I've been in this biz 15 years. I have seen every version of every insult anybody could ever give Jimmy Moore. I've seen it all, guys. And sometimes it still surprises me, the vulgarness of some of it. But most of the time I'm like, oh, that's a creative way to say the same thing. Cariana says, whoa, people can be jerks. Yeah, people are really jerks. And part of it too right now is we have so much stress going on that I think some people are gone bonkers. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, the way people are responding, it's at a hyper level. Like, people are usually on, hyper, especially the haters and the trolls. It seems like this COVID-19 having to be quarantined and all this stuff, it's just made people's brains go crazy. Kat says, I don't want to even know her. That's a weird comment, Kat. What's that mean? Piggy Puggy Pundit says, I feel so bad for her. Yeah, and she's a sweet lady too. Coastal Mom, I love Dr. Brighten. I hate that she's dealing with all this. Well, again, this is like pulling back the curtain of those of us that are in leadership position within the nutrition and health space. I personally, I can attest to you, I should probably do a whole Jimmy Rants. We should do like mean tweets like they do, was it Jimmy Fallon show? Where they read the mean tweets, the actual actors read their own tweets or whatever. Where I dramatize some of my ugliest comments. That would be hilarious. I might do that someday. Beth says, Bruce Lipton says, we are more susceptible to COVID-19 because most of the population has never been exposed to this particular strain. The body's response to building a resistance to it takes a lot longer. Yeah. Kat says, so she was shamed. I thought she started shaming others. Can somebody please shut up my kids? I was like, why are you like hating on Jolene too, Kat? But yes, she was the one being shamed. And yeah, shut up, Kat's kids. I have just one question. It's been almost 5 months since the virus made its first appearance, and we still know just bits about it. Really? Or is this controlling the knowledge? I don't know is the answer to that one. It's a great question that I'm certainly keeping my eyes open about. I've got a few articles that are making some arguments as to why we're still quarantined. I'll get to those. I got so much. I'm loaded for bear this week, guys. Don't miss an episode of Jimmy Rants. Pink Puggy says, do you feel like you've been vilified in the community? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But see, those people that vilify me, and I had another one do it today, where I posted the video about KetoCon getting canceled and not giving the refund. Somebody said some snide comment to me and about my weight and about my health and how I'm going to die next week if I get COVID-19, blah, blah, blah. I'm not kidding you. Like, I get those things all the time. And I realize that's a very minuscule percentage of the people who follow my work. I've always found it fascinating. If you don't like me, you think I'm fat and you think I'm going to die next week, why do you follow? Like, the people who follow me and are faithful, all of you guys, you don't care about all that. You get value out of what I do here, and I keep doing it. And all the rest of the people can move on to someone else. And so, yeah, I do feel like I've been vilified in the keto community. In fact, especially when they say that I'm the reason people don't go keto. They always point to me and, oh, because Jimmy Moore's fat. Jimmy Moore obviously is unhealthy and is going to keel over soon. Therefore, he's a cancer to the keto community. Yeah, I get all that kind of stuff all the time. Kat says, I'm trying to do all the right things in all the known directions, but currently facing some ugly genetics that cannot be overruled. Yeah. I mean, there's always like things like that out there. Shirley says, we don't know enough about this virus to really judge anyone getting sick with COVID-19. Yeah, there's some correlations, but even the healthiest of people can get it from what I've seen. And Jolene is now probably one of the bigger names out there in the general health space who's gotten it. Dave wants to know, is she a proponent of keto? No, she's not specifically keto, but she's very much in the functional medicine realm. She's very much in the real food realm, trying to normalize hormones, and you can't normalize hormones eating sugar and refined grains and all that. So I think she's probably closer to like a paleo diet than a keto diet, but no, she's not keto. I'd love for everyone to get your take on the Bruce Lipton podcast. There's a lot of good info on there. Yeah, personally, Beth, I haven't been able to listen yet. I know Bruce Lipton very well, and would love to have him on my own show, but I have not listened, and I wouldn't talk about that until I have. So, Tiffany says, I thank you for what you bring to the community. Thank you, Tiffany. I love my role in this community. You know, people like to criticize me for whatever the reasons, but I do think I add a lot of value, and I won't stop. In fact, every time I'm criticized, it makes me double down and want to do more. And if I didn't have any value, I wouldn't have all of you guys watching me right now. So no, I won't shut up because I have too much good to say. And if I'm not your cup of tea, move on. There's plenty of people out there in this space that you can go listen to. Bonnie says, we know your words are from your heart, and I always listen. Thank you for that. That's very sweet. All right. So, there is a question that came in. I keep forgetting to look at the question queue. That's where I asked the question earlier of which topic do you want me to address, and this one was overwhelmingly the one they wanted me to address. All right, let's thank you, Instagram Live. Let's come over to Facebook Live. What's up, you guys? Get you all here squared up. See what you got to say about this issue we talked about here. Hello from Austin. Thank you, Sharon. Sharon says, how very rude. Yeah, it was quite rude. Like, here she is literally fighting for her life, and people are health shaming her because she dared to get COVID-19 as if she could control that. Norma says, we have several nurses that have coronavirus in my area. There have been 2 doctors in Florida that have died of this. Yeah, the guys on the front lines, like these are doctors and nurses and other medical health professionals. Are we going to blame them for being unhealthy because they got COVID-19 and died from it? It's like, yeah, they're doctors and nurses, but they're people. And of course, they're very susceptible because they're right there on the front lines treating the people coming in with this thing. So it's unfortunate that what's happening to our frontline workers in the medical field. I fear, you guys, when all this is over, that there's going to be such attrition in the medical health realm. We're going to lose so many doctors, so many nurses, not just the ones dying, but just people going, no, I can't do it anymore. And that'll be unfortunate. And we think we have a problem now trying to have enough people to deal with the patients dealing with COVID-19. Wait till 20%, 25% of those workers decide they don't want to be in that field anymore. That would be a travesty. Now, it's a new opportunity for new blood to get in there and maybe rise up and fill those holes, but I'm not so sure. Patty says, I'm glad I caught 2 lives in one day. Yeah, I try to do 2 every once in a while, so thank you for being here. Mandy says, keto for the last 4 years and found out after I've been battling autoimmunity this whole time, there's just some things you can't control. No, autoimmune disease is not just about your diet. You can eat the best keto diet in the world. And keto does help mitigate some of the symptoms of autoimmunity, but you can develop disease long before. Like sometimes people will criticize when someone has a heart attack and they eat keto. Oh, see, all that fat, made them have that heart attack. And then you realize they've been keto for a year, but they ate crappy garbage for 30 years. And so suddenly they go keto and all this metabolic cascade of damage to their body just magically disappears. Maybe it delayed the heart attack by, 5-6 months, but it was gonna happen. So yeah, I hate that. And I hate to hear you're battling autoimmunity the whole time, but it does probably make a lot of things make sense now, Mandy, in light of you being keto and then still dealing with some stuff. Norma says, I followed Jolene for many years. She would give the shirt off of her back for others. She's super knowledgeable and will help you if you ask her. Sorry that this is happening to her. Yeah. This is just the latest example of what happens to most of us who are leaders in this space. Can I tell you, I love what I get to do. I love the interaction I get to do doing my craft. I love talking on my podcast. I love being on camera with you guys here on Jimmy Rants. But can I tell you, someday it really sucks. And this is something a lot of health gurus and health leaders will not talk about, because quite frankly, there's too much good work to do to get too focused on some of this negativity. And of course, the well-meaning people that say, well, just ignore it. I'm like, okay, we're all human beings. At the end of the day, if you call me a fat ass fuck and you should go die tomorrow, how the hell am I supposed to just let that go? Okay? So Jolene is experiencing some of that, and she's probably gotten some of that before. Literally everybody in the health space that has a following of any consequence is getting this kind of stuff. We just don't all talk about it. And it should give you a lot more compassion for those people that you love. If you love somebody in this health space and you follow them regularly, will you encourage them? Like, send like a quick note. I know my friend Maria Emmerich gets a ton of negative stuff because she has adopted kids from Africa. And so I'll leave it to your imagination, the kind of stuff she gets. And just on and on and on. I could talk about all the different people who get criticized for this, that, and everything in between. When you go to somebody like Jolene Brighten and you say, oh, you got this COVID-19, I guess you weren't as healthy as you thought you were, them's is fighting words. And it is unfortunate because Jolene is a sweetheart. She does know her stuff. She's very articulate, extremely healthy. And now she's fighting for her life with COVID-19. We need to be more kind, compassionate, and loving. And not so judgy. There's already a shortage of nurses now. We need better equipment and supplies. Yes. Brian says, thanks for all you do. Thanks for being here, Brian. Holly says, carnivore has helped me. Yeah, carnivore is helping a lot of people. I generally eat a keto carnivore diet. So that's pretty much what I do. Dan says, such comments seem to be about the fears and or insecurities. As part of their emotional management, they get some sort of reward or high from criticizing others. That is a great point, Dan. Thank you for pointing that out. And you're right. There is this superiority complex of, well, I would not get sick if I got COVID-19 because my immune system is so strong because I do X, Y, Z. Pretending like Jolene has not done XYZ already, or her own version of XYZ, yeah, that's so disgusting to me. But you're right. It is an emotional management technique. Miss Twiggy says, my dad is an infectious disease doctor. He got it, and he recovered. Lucked out big time with just mild symptoms. And he would be one of the leading experts of knowing, how this spreads through the body, and he still got it. And let's face it, guys, we're all going to get it. I remember Dr. Ken Berry talked about that when we first started getting quarantined. He's like, guys, within the next 18 months, every single one of us is going to get it. It's just an inevitability. The reason we're quarantining is to flatten the curve because there's so many people getting it now. We've got to, lower the cases so that the medical care system can catch up. And so we will all eventually get it. And maybe some of us have already gotten it and just had no symptoms. And maybe some people got it and had mild symptoms that you didn't even recognize were symptoms of COVID-19. Maybe what I got a couple weeks ago on that Wednesday, when I got super duper tired suddenly, like all day long, maybe that was me having it and that my body fought it off and that was it. I don't know, but I'm saying let's not pretend like none of us or all of us won't get this. We will probably all get it to some degree or another. It's just a matter of when. Linda says, it's such a shame people are so cruel to those who are just trying to help. Again, welcome to my world, because that is sadly just the reality. Miss Twiggy says it is very transmissible. Yeah, that's why we're holding ourselves up, because it is very transmissible. It's a tough one to find because most people are asymptomatic who possibly have it. I know Peter Attia talked about trying to do massive testing so we can see who all has it that doesn't show symptoms. Because if it's a high percentage of people who have COVID-19 in their system, but they're not showing any symptoms of it, that's really interesting. Like, we have it, but we're not exhibiting symptoms. So what do you do with that? And yet, if it's a very low number of people who are asymptomatic, then we haven't seen anything yet when it comes to the people getting it and getting sick. Why do people have the right to do this, says Berkeley, talking about criticizing health leaders. Freedom of speech. They also feel like because it's the internet, you can pretty much say anything. And again, I've been at this 15 years. I have seen every incarnation of every insult you could possibly give someone. Yeah, it's not new Berkeley. It's just she's the latest dealing with this. Norma says 5 people I know had all the symptoms of this back in December and January, going to be tested for the antibodies. Yeah, I remember reading a news story from January that talked about this being the worst flu season we've ever had. How many of those people who had the flu before, COVID-19 were actually COVID-19? It's interesting. Like, there's so much happening here. So stay safe, says Keto Buddies. Thank you for that. And I will stay safe. I'm trying to bring light to a lot of issues around this COVID-19. This one with Jolene Brighten. If you missed it earlier, she's a naturopath functional medicine doctor, and she has COVID-19, and she's on oxygen right now, trying to get her O2 saturation levels up and get her red blood cells and white blood cells strong again so she can fight this thing off. So definitely remember her in your thoughts. Go follow her over on Facebook. She's giving regular updates between napping because it's really wiped her out. She's trying to give updates so everybody doesn't worry about her. But also, here is a very famous naturopath functional medicine doctor who's dealing with COVID-19. You kind of want to get her firsthand observations from this as well. So it'd be really good. But we wish you nothing but love and prayers and success in recovering from this, Jolene. So thank you for sharing about this. I'm sorry about what you're going through. Unfortunately, those of us who have some modicum of following online, we know all about the haters. So hang in there. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, you can go follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. That is how you engage live in the content at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Sometimes we do this 5 p.m. Eastern Time one as well. No more weekend ones. I announced that this morning. 2 o'clock on Saturday, Sunday was usually what I did. I'm trying to take a break and rest a little bit, so the weekends seem to be that natural break. We also simulcast over on my Facebook pages, so thank you guys for being here today as well. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours here on Instagram. After 24 hours, hop on over to JimmyRants.com. We have all the past episodes housed there. We also throw them up on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. So guys, that's it for now. We'll be back again real soon with more Jimmy Rants.